guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and today we are looking at the Knife Nuts podcast exclusive version of the RealSteel Rokot designed by Ivan Bregnitz. You can see his maker's mark right there. So RealSteel and Ivan Bregnitz have done a number of knives together, and all of them have been, at least as far as I'm concerned, very, very impressive. And guess what? This one is no exception. Still a very, very cool knife. Made a little bit cooler by the fact that this Knife Nuts exclusive version has this purple micarta, which looks really, really cool. Now, let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to move this sticker. First, let me show you. It's got this really cool rainbow effect going on. Looks awesome. Anyway, great job on the stickers, guys, from Knife Nuts, and great job on the new coin. In silver this time. Very cool. I'll leave that in here for the video, just as sort of a shout out to the guys over at the Knife Nuts podcast. Now, let's get into the knife itself. And I have to say, this knife fits into the category of a lot of Ivan's designs. Okay, I've had, as I say, a few of Ivan's RealSteel knives, and what I always find to be the case is that they're a little bit different, enough to make them interesting, enough to make them compelling, but still the same enough, or still standard enough that it's a pretty safe design, pretty broadly appealing design, where you still know that you've got a useful, simple, effective cutting tool, just with some slight variants that are going to add a level of interest and a level of what would you say, sort of pride of ownership, or just an added flair, if you will. So let's go ahead and get into some of the details here, beginning with size and weight, which is really, really nice. This is 7 3/8 inches. Wow. 8 3/8 inches overall, 3 11/16 on the blade length, 4 3/4 inch handle. That is 4 3/4 inches when closed. All right. In terms of grip area, this is a little bit different to call for grip area. So in this sort of cutout here, you've got about 3 3/8 inches, and my hand does fit in there. However, if you had larger fingers and you were going to use this area, it's still quite comfortable, and you've got lots and lots of room. And you also have a little bit of jimping here that allows you to choke up a little if you wanted to. So it's hard to really give a solid number to grip area. It's somewhere between 3 3/8 and 4 inches. So actually, there's a lot of grip here, and it's pretty. It's going to fit almost anyone's hand. So for all those purposes, I think they've done a really nice job. By the way, the weight here, 3.5 ounces, which is excellent for a knife of this size, that's this substantial, with this much grip area. You've got a very substantial, almost a large folding knife at only 3.5 ounces, which makes it so comfortable to carry. You really don't even know you've got this with you. So fantastic in the size, weight, and carry department. Moving over to this blade, we've got this really, really nice drop-ish point, I guess. It's almost just a standard straight back blade, but there is a slight bit of a drop there. Nearly a full flat grind. There's just a little bit of a flat surface here. Satin finish on this N690 steel, nice and thin behind the edge at 17 thousandths. And so in terms of, there we go, get it to focus on the blade there. In terms of performance here, I've been very, very happy. This N690 seems to be quite well done. I have no complaints at all in terms of how it's held an edge. Very, very stain resistant. So yeah, I've been really, really happy with this. This knife, the KMP edition comes in, I think, at $90. The standard version is probably around $75. So $75 for N690. That's a great use of this steel and totally appropriate. You are paying a little bit more to get that micarta and to get the exclusivity of the Knife Nuts podcast version, and that's completely fine. I love the guys over at the Knife Nuts podcast, and that's part of the reason to buy this is just to support them. I could have easily gotten one from Justin over at White Mountain Knives for cheaper, but those guys are awesome. I love listening to the podcast, and I like those guys personally as well. And so I was happy to have this and to check it out. And they do frequently do further runs. So I got this, I don't know, 3-6 months ago, And since that time, I have noticed on their Instagram that if you wanted one, again, they've done like a subsequent offering. So these are not that difficult to get a hold of if you really, really want one. Of course, if you don't want to wait, you can always look around at various retail locations. And definitely you want to check out White Mountain Knives, where you can use my discount code to save yourself a bit of money there, 10% off. Moving on, the action on this is very, very nice. It's a front flipper on bearings with thumb studs, which also work quite well. Okay, those thumb studs also serve as the blade stop, both for closed and opened. They're quite comfortable. The detent is really nicely dialed in, and the action here is smooth as silk. I do have one minor complaint about lockup and deployment, and that is the lock bar is a little tough. You know, it's not, I think that's not fair to say. It's just not as convenient and comfortable to get a hold of as some other knives that I have. I would like to see just maybe a little bit more material here removed or something to make that a little more accessible. As it stands, it's completely fine, but I would like it to be just a little more comfortable. That's really a fairly small issue, so I'm not gonna belabor that point. So yeah, great action, really nicely implemented front flipper here. The thumb studs also work really, really well, and so far so good, right? We've got a highly functional action, we've got a highly functional blade. What about the handle? Because let's be honest, if a knife has a great blade and a great action, but you can't hold on to it, that's not going to work. And guess what? In this case, this is really nice. Okay, is this like the most comfortable knife I've ever handled? Well, no, it's not. It's not an 80-10. It's not a bushcraft, fixed blade or something where you've got these really nice hand-filling rounded handles. It's still, flat, but there's enough texturing on this micarta, and the micarta does feel really, really grippy, which is very, very welcome as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, very comfortable knife. It feels nice in hand. It feels very grippy. And of course, the micarta looks fantastic. It's also carried into the backspacer here as well. All right, in terms of construction, we've got those milled out stainless steel liners that we've seen on lots of other knives. The pocket clip is, however, a little bit different. So you can see how the pocket clip here drops in and then is kind of trapped in the handle. All right, you could remove this screw and flip it to the other side, I believe. Yep, you can see, hold on. Gotta get this to focus. There we go. You can see the little opening for the pocket clip to slip in. So it is a reversible pocket clip, but obviously the lock is not going to be reversible. So it's sort of somewhat lefty friendly. All right, in the normal version, this is going to be G10 construction, which is still great. I have no complaint about the G10 at all, but I do like micarta a little bit better. The micarta also looks fantastic, which is very much welcome. Let's throw in some comparisons here. I've got a couple for you. The obvious one, or a simple one, is the Rat Model 1, similar construction, stainless steel liner lock, D2 steel instead of N690. Of course, similar size, all right. The Rat 1 does weigh quite a bit more and has D2 steel instead of the N690. Let's throw a Para 2 in here since everyone is kind of familiar with that. Okay, so you can see this is a little bigger than a Para 2. Another knife that I think fits a similar mold to this is the Spartan Blades Aster. This is similar in price point. Gives you this cool Les George design, CTS XHP steel, total win on that in that department. And finally, let's throw in another knife that's pretty well known and fairly popular. This is the Civivi button lock Elementum. Which, costs around the same, is going to have, kind of offers a similar role in that it's a little bit different. It's a little bit unique. It's a little bit interesting, but it's still a fairly standard, useful, safe cutting tool. All right. So there you go. Those are some comparisons for you. What would I say in conclusion? Great knife, right? The only minor complaint I could offer here was in regards to the lock bar, which is, totally functional, just not as comfortable or as easy to access as it could be. Cool design, right? Very nicely built by RealSteel. Very useful cutting tool. Nice thin edge, decent materials. You know, if you're looking for an EDC that's easy to carry, that's comfortable in hand, that is a good, highly effective cutting tool, but also has a nice bit of style to it that's a little bit different than what maybe everyone else is carrying out there, I think this does make a really good option. And of course, this Knife Nuts exclusive version adds to that special factor just even a little bit more. So thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check the channel sponsors down in the description box. Using those links or using those discount codes does help me a whole lot. We'll talk to you soon.